let's do it.
All
So
right.
for everyone in attendance, do note that we will be recording this webinar for future viewing. So if you do ask questions during the Q&A later, they will be available for everyone to listen to at a later date.
I just want to mention too, if people do have questions during a webinar, make sure to ask them in the chat panels. I'll field those questions and ask them to Pat when the time is right.
Perfect. So questions directly in the chat panel. Ryan will ask them back to me. And Ryan, just make sure that the recording is started and let's get going. So welcome everybody to another Dakis Unified Commerce webinar. Today, we're going to be looking at a new feature that is launching and is actually launched. And we'll see how that ties into your My Dakis later on. It's the lab service component, which we call internally workflows and work jobs. Our goal here is to bring order to your service orders. Why is that not? There you go. So our presenters today, you're probably familiar with me if you've been to our trade shows or webinars before. My name is Patrice. I am the architect of our Unified Commerce POS. I'm VP of Research and Development, and we haven't updated the slide, which I should. I'm also VP of Operations for the Dakis business unit since the start of January. And with us, we also have Ryan, who I'll let introduce himself.
My name is Ryan. I help you all out with customer success, and I am your product expert. I am a VP of nothing, but that's okay. I still feel good about myself. So that's about it, Pat.
That's what matters. That's what matters. So a little bit of El Dijon. What are we going to be looking at today? Obviously, we're just going to answer the question: what are workflows and work jobs, and what are they for? We have a live product demo, and as always, live product demos always go flawlessly. There's never anything wrong.
Never.
So we're going to get that right. We're going to look at how do we get workflows and work jobs. So what do you have to do to participate and have access to these cool features? A quick blurb about Dakis Pay by Global, because it's a very important thing to add to your Unified Commerce platform. And then because we want you to stick around till the end, not that we'll have to beg you, because this is some hot stuff we're going to be showing. We're going to take a look at what was recently released. Just a quick bullet point of all the features that have been released, so in case you missed something. And we're going to look at what's on the roadmap, so what's coming up in 2026 as far as product development for Dakis. So we're not going to go into too much detail because we have a lot of meat to cover here, but we're going to take a look at that at the end of the webinar. And as always, we have a dedicated Q&A at the end, but like Ryan mentioned, go ahead and ask questions as we go. Ryan will interrupt me when the time is right if a question is pertinent to what we're showing at that time. So workflows and work jobs, what are those for us? What does it mean? So we're trying to answer a problem here that most service-based retailers have. As part of our Unified Commerce philosophy, we want to reduce the amount of logins you have, reduce the amount of platforms you're using, reduce the amount of double and triple and quadruple entry you're sometimes doing. So what we are trying to do is we are putting forward a module that's right in the My Dakis, so you don't have to log in anywhere else. You don't have to create a new user for your staff. That will essentially manage your service orders from the intake, from the moment you create it, you take payment, all the way to the completion of that service order. You know, there's different types of service orders. We're going to take a look at that in a bit. We want you to be able to assign those to the proper staff member. We want you to be able to see where these jobs are, where they are in your lab, in your store, in your scanning department, in your printing department, wherever that's going on. And we don't want you to have to go through many hoops to see that. So when we say service orders and work jobs and workflows, what does that mean for your typical camera store? What does that mean for your typical print lab? So here we have a few types of what we call service orders. The most popular one, and the one that Ryan will be demoing for us later, and the one that's probably the most requested, is a way to better process film. From the selling of film processing to the processing of that actual film and tracking that in the lab, all the way to getting the files to the end consumer. There's obviously scanning and digitization, so any type of flatbed scanning, any type of bulk scanning, any type of shoebox scanning that's on offer. And then we have things like photo restoration, image alterations, anything around restoration of water damaged photos, or just enhancement of photos before print. These three first types of workflows are really interesting because they also involve getting an image back to the customer, which is a digital image, which is something that many of you rely on external tools like Dropbox, or you send it, or those different type of file transfers, and those are obviously not integrated into your workflow. And we're going to show you in a bit how that can be integrated into the MyDakis and into a seamless workflow, really. And then there's other types of service-based workflows that can be on offer. Everything from your framing, everything from your canvas, your wall art, anything that takes multiple steps in your lab, anything that takes multiple different people that are intervening. And something that isn't listed here but can work as well is to track your rentals. A lot of you that have camera stores also do rentals of studio equipment, lenses, bodies, things like that. So without being necessarily a full-fledged rental module, you can definitely do things like track your rentals and your repairs from workflows and workjobs. And what's interesting here, under the different workflows, we've put some of the different steps that these processes can entail. We've gone into maybe more steps than you would. Maybe in your lab, you're gonna group some of those steps up, but that's kind of a quick what steps do some of these services have. Without further ado, because I know that's what you're here to see, we're gonna do a demo. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hand the screen back to Ryan for now. Ryan is gonna show you the front portion of this where he's going to be intaking a film order, and then I'll be back with you shortly to show you how we manage that in MyDakis. Take it away, Ryan. I believe you're muted, Ryan. You're not muted, but I believe your sound is not working, Ryan.
Hello, hello.
Wonderful.
All right, that was odd. Okay, it was a classic turn on, turn off situation. All right, so you can all see my screen here, right?
Yes.
Yes, all right,
yes,
cool.
We can see your screen. I'm looking at the dakisdemo.com website in all of its glory. It's
glorious. All right, so we have a service section here, okay, with all the different types of services that could be offered in a lab. As Patrice was mentioning, you can do restoration, retouching, scanning, anything can be implicated inside of a work job, and also in the submission of the order. So we're just going to go check out film development, because obviously that is the most popular request. Okay, we have this page that talks about film dev. This may be familiar to a lot of you, as this has been around for a little bit of time. The main difference here is that we have this order on pay online button that is going to go to an order submission page. Okay, so from here, I can choose if I want to develop only or develop and scan. And by the way, this is completely customizable inside of my Dakis account through the photo factory component. So I'm going to choose develop and scan to get started. Okay, so there, it loads up the image and it asks me what kind of film type I want to submit. So I'm going to go for, let's say, APS or disposable camera. The color process, do I want to be black in here? Do I want to be black and white or color? I'm going to take color. And the scan quality, I want the highest resolution possible. At this point, I can also decide what I'm going to do with the negatives. If I'm going to do push-pull, it becomes really easy to submit this. And then I would add to cart. So I'm going to click here. Just going to wait a little bit. there it is. So I've added the product to cart. So at this point, once the transaction is completed, it's going to fall into your account. If you have to process the payment, you're going to process it yourself, but it is going to fall into your work jobs, as Pat is going to show you how. It's pretty simple. I mean, as you saw, this is a pretty simple process to submit the order. So, I mean, I'd be excited about offering this on my website. So, borderline, that's what it is. If you have questions about it, don't be shy to ask them in the question panel. We'll be more than happy to field them after the fact. All right, that's all I have to say.
Now you have to make me the presenter again, Ryan, please.
Okay, so we're ready for that?
Correct. Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Here you go, bud.
All right. So you should be able to see my screen again. We are in the My Dakis now. So what Ryan showed you is just a quick way to intake a service order from the website. So for most of you, you have our website. So that's definitely an easy way to do that. For those of you that are looking at the Unified Commerce POS, know that the work job and workflow integration also works when you create an order from the My Dakis. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like real quick. So if I go to create order here, I can then look and filter for my developing and scanning. I'd have to write that properly. So my different developing and scanning, my scans without prints, my develop only here. If I add it to cart here, I'll have the same options that I can add to my cart, and I can create a cart here as well, instead of doing it on the website. So there's two places that you'll be able to interact with the workshops. Now, we keep saying work jobs and workflows, but really all we've shown you is adding a product to cart with a lot of options. This is where that magic sets in after. If we take a look here, I'm in the all orders, so we can see the different orders that are here. So I've done one previously, so you see my name here. I'm going to go see that. That was my developed and print. And you'll see here, there's a new screen that you've never noticed, a new card that you've never noticed called a job. So one of the first ways that you can interact with what we call a work job is directly in the shopping cart tab in your My Dakis. That's not really the interesting part though. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to the all jobs screen. So the all jobs screen is here under orders and all jobs. So what you're going to notice here is where in what we call the list view of all jobs. So just going over the screen really quickly, we'll notice that there's a view workflows button here. I'm just going to put that off to the side for now. I'm going to go there later. And we can filter our jobs by who they're assigned to, by workflow, by the current status of the job, or by when they're due. So there's a lot of options here to filter your different service orders so that you can see what are my rush jobs, what do I need to do now, what is Ryan working on, what's Anthony working on, what's PC working on, what whoever is working on, and there's a lot of options here. So right here, we're going to interact with one of my work jobs. It's a film development job. You have the print order number here. You have the shopping cart number here. You can go right back to the shopping cart where we were before by clicking on it. You have the customer name here. You can click through to the customer if you need more information about the customer. And then you can actually interact with the job here. If it's a new job, you can assign it to someone. So I'm going to have Anthony take care of this job. So now when Anthony comes in, we can now filter and see jobs that are assigned to him. You can notice the due date. I can change the due date. I can change the status here. I can work with my jobs right here. There's another interesting view that we created around workshops. Many of you, and a bit of our inspiration on how to do this is that many of you actually use Trello to manage your work jobs, which again is a separate system where you have to do a manual entry, a dual entry, which isn't always interesting, error prone. But we took some inspiration from Trello. So if you click on your actual workflow, or if you come here and choose your film development workflow, then you have, again, all the same jobs we saw before, but in a different view. So here I can see how many jobs I have at every step of the way. And as well here, I can also move my job along the statuses if I want. I can also interact with the due date with the assignee if I need to transfer it over to someone. What's interesting here is that as you move jobs along, you can trigger different email notifications. I'll show you how to set that up in a little bit. So obviously, if I go from development to scanning to handle negatives to image upload to, I don't think I'll trigger any email notifications here. I wouldn't have set that up because that's not of interest to the customer. But if I want to tell them that the job's done, this one would trigger an email. And if I am done, then obviously that one might trigger an email notification. So I'm going to move this job to done. What's interesting about the film development is that there are assets to be sent back to the customer. And right now, how most of you are doing this is you're tracking your job in Trello, you're working with your equipment, doing the actual scanning. This is going through multiple hands. And then at the end of the process, you're retrieving this customer's email. You're going into maybe you send it, Dropbox, something like that, and you're sending them a link to the files, which are completely outside of your system. What's very interesting about all the workflows that have assets that are rendered is that you'll notice here there's a quick button, view the pro event associated with the job. So when this order was placed, this work job was automatically created, and a pro event was automatically created where I can come and just from film dev, I could come and I can put the files there. Once they're uploaded, I can send a notification. It'll automatically send a notification to the user with that notification that the files are available. We're not going to go into my email because the last time I did that, I got in a whole lot of trouble. So we're going to stay out of there. I'm not going to show you the notifications, but you'll be able to come and try this out on your own. Are there any questions about placing an order, a workshop being created, that list view, that Trello board, the pro event tie-in at this point?
We have questions, Pat.
Okay, so let's take a little break while the screens are open to answer those questions, and then I'm going to go on after that on, well, how do we create workshops? How do we link them to products? How do we create new workflows? How do we add notification messages? We'll take a look at that after these questions.
Okay. Oh, and another question just came in as well. Okay, so this is from Halil, who says, is it possible to customize it to have E6 added to the options? I'll field that one.
Go ahead.
100%. So you can, since it's inside of the photo factory, it's a large matrix of options and possibilities that are given to you. So yeah, why don't you get there, Pat? Click on services, click on film. Yeah, there you go, film development. Okay. So you see there are different options there, 35 mil, 120, 220 APS, E6 slide film, maybe not the best thumbnail, but I apologize, and disposable cameras. So yes, you can do that there. And also because of the fact that it's using a mass pricing table, you can ignore certain options for certain products. For instance, in develop only, you'll notice that there's no scanning, but in develop and scan, there was scanning, right? So there's the possibilities are endless, just you can make it as easy or as complicated as you want. Normally I wouldn't add push pull, but I did here, so there you go.
And there's different ways to do that if you want them to trigger different workflows, if you want them to trigger different options. What we did here is we made one product called develop only, we made one product called develop and scan, and we applied the options we want to those. If you prefer, you could start at this level and have these be products instead of options, which allows you a higher level of customization, but a few more products to manage. So there's different ways this can be set up. And obviously with our keenest of early adopters, we'll do some different trials with you to see what the best way of setting them up is. I'm a big fan of simplicity. And as far as somebody who's ordering on a website, I like this 2 or 3 product setup. with all the options that follow.
Okay, cool. I have more. I'm good. Are you good with that question, Pat? I have nothing more to add to it.
I think that answered the question. The question was simply, can we do E6? Which the answer was yes.
And we went overboard, but
yeah, we went a little overboard. Yeah.
Okay, I have Willow. She is saying we are interested in the software as a way to offer an additional Dropbox. Is there a way to pair the order intake with an automatic ticket printing, similar to how our Dakis kiosk prints a ticket when an order is placed in store? Pat?
Okay, so you would want, say we place an order for Devon Print, you would want an automatic ticket to be created from the job downloader, I assume in this case. So because these orders are based off of Photo Factory products, whether they're ordered in store or online, they will create an automatic ticket from the job downloader, one per printing order, so one per product that is added, and that can follow around the roll. The other way of getting notification tickets for that would be to simply print the receipt from the My Dakis here. You can print it. You can email it to yourself. That's not as useful, but you can print the receipt at any time as well if you need to print it again here, or from the job downloader, because these count as printing orders. So the answer, I believe, is yes, Willow, but we can look at specifically with you another day to see where you want that to print.
I don't see how that would be a no. It's a yes in my books. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I have another question from Halil. Hold on a second. Can you upload service handle all? Okay, can the upload service handle all types of files? So I'm assuming that
it uploads. It uploads the same type of image files that are supported by the printing engines. So that, JPEG, PNG, GIF, HEIC will be converted, things like that. It doesn't support video files for now. I mentioned video files because that's something that came up in a call with a potential customer for the Unified Commerce who wants all of his, VHS transfers, film transfers to be able to be available here too. So that's on the roadmap, but all the photo files that we support elsewhere are supported here.
Okay. I have a question here from Kevin Murphy that I like a lot. You ready for it, Pat?
Okay.
Yeah. Why are you so
should I be scared?
Can this interface be used if the customer is dropping off film in store, or is this only usable if they place an order online first?
So both. Maybe that order was asked before I got to showing that that screenshot, but it's available in multiple locations. So Kevin, so obviously we showed you the online version because it's very graphical. If you were to switch to our POS, in that create order screen, you can do an intake there as well. And when I show you the setup, you might get it better. And it could be available on web kiosk as well. So from the web kiosk. So it's available from essentially everywhere that we allow someone to create an order. So the answer is yes. Ryan, are the other questions very pertinent or a little pertinent? Because I would like to get on to showing the setup, which might answer some of these questions that are coming.
Yeah. Why don't we move along? We can always ask the questions later on.
Okay, so whoever asked questions and we didn't get to them, we're going to bring them back up in the Q&A at the end. But if we devolve into a Q&A session right now, we might finish the hour here. So what's interesting about the work orders and where we can see them, so just before I get to the setup, I'm on the shopping cart here, and I can see and interact with the job. There's another place I can see and interact with the jobs is if I go to the customers, I can see the different jobs that this customer has, and I can interact with them here as well. So we're really giving you work jobs, workflows, and finding them and interacting them in all the different screens that we already have. So we're really baking this into the software. Now, how does this all work? Here, let me close these so I don't come back here by accident. Okay. Oh, I'm in the legacy now. Let's get out of here. So I'm just going to go back to Jack. So setting up workflows is the first place. That is in the settings tab under orders. We have our custom statuses, and then we have workflows here. The first thing we need to do is we need to create the actual workflow. You know what, let's create a brand new one. What are we creating, Ryan? We have film development, we have scanning and digitization. How about custom framing? Let's create a custom framing workflow. So right here, I click on add workflow. I can give it a name. We're going to call it custom framing. What is my typical lead time? We'll say that I normally promise it in 10 days. That'll be the default when we get an order. It can be changed on the workflow later on. The Create Pro Event button here is what allows you to choose if you want this Pro Event to have files that are uploaded at the end. In the case of custom framing, I don't think we do, so I'm not going to click that. And then what are my statuses when I'm doing custom framing? You can all chime in here. I might be completely wrong about this because I don't run a lab, but let's see if I come close. So my first status might be prepping the artwork, prepping the file, prepping the jersey, prepping whatever we're framing, and I'm going to leave that in to do. I'm not going to notify my customer if we're prepping something, so I'm going to leave these notifications blank. We have our first status. My second status might be ready for framing or framing, the actual framing process. You can name that however you want. That would be in progress. We have one there. I don't know if you're doing UV glass or if you do a polishing of the frame after, or if you do a QC process, maybe we have a quality control and we reassign that back to our manager or boss. So that might be that last step. And then, you know, the last step might be ready for pickup. That would be done. And then the way the email notifications work for now is we wanted to keep it simple so that you don't have to create thousands of custom emails. There's one custom email in the customer journey, and there's a block of text in it that can be edited and replaced with the message you put here. So we can just put that your custom framing is ready for pickup. The minute that I put something in that message, this status will trigger an email. If I leave it blank, we're not going to send out blank emails. Save. And there you go. I've created a workflow. Now, I've created a workflow. How do I create a work job from it? So what we've done is we've really baked it into every different type of product that we offer. So if you are creating a workflow from a product that you are offering as a hardware type product, you would simply find it here. Obviously, this isn't a custom frame, but we're going to use it for the benefits of my demonstration. We would go into the hardware product. We would find workflows down here, and we would choose which workflow this product triggers. And then just hit save. So anytime somebody orders a rose gold bead photo frame, it would trigger my custom framing workflow. That's not that interesting. This is not where we're actually going to do our custom framing. We're going to do our custom framing in our legacy inventory. So I'm going to go to the photo factory area. We do have actual custom framing here, which is more interesting. So similarly to how we work with shipping, workflows can be triggered on an individual template, on a subcategory, or on the main category. If I want to go quick and dirty, I can assign my workflow at this level. So any photo factory product from this category would trigger my custom framing workflow. If I want to be much more specific, maybe I have a workflow for metal, a workflow for wood, a workflow for desk. You can make this as complicated or as simple as you want. It's your lab. You can go and set it on the subcategory. The workflows are here as well. And you can set it on an individual template. The workflows are down here. Additionally, because some of you do offer some crazy stuff in your basic print ordering, you can trigger workflows on print groups and individual prints as well. We're not going to be triggering workflows for a 4x6, I don't think, but some of you offer canvas in here. Some of you offer custom products that we don't understand in here. Some of you order cutouts, things like that, which are more involved. So you can trigger workflows from here as well. Now, when I say trigger workflow, what I mean is as soon as one of those items goes through the cart, be it pay in store, be it an account payment, be it paid online, be it paid through the terminal via Unified Commerce POS, be it through kiosk, the moment that shopping cart is created, the workflow is created for each line item that has a workflow associated to it. I think that actually goes over the setup pretty well. Did you have any questions, Ryan? Would that have answered your questions on how to set up and create workflows? You're still muted.
So I have to unmute myself twice, right? All right. Okay. So yes, it answers the questions. Being the person that I am, I think the best way to get into it is to use it. Having used it and having set up the film dev workflow, it's pretty simple. You just need to kind of like grab a piece of paper, a pencil, think for 10, 15 minutes. Your experience will dictate the workflow that you want to create. Pretty simple. And with the fact that you can upload the images to the Pro event, it's pretty gnarly. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So let me go back to my PowerPoint right here.
Yeah, I do have a couple more questions.
We can handle a few right now if you want.
Yeah.
And
okay.
and then maybe keep a few more for the Q&A at the end, because we do have a few other items to get through. Yeah.
These are two fairly fast ones. All right. This is from
Okay.
Halil Call asking, how long do the files stay active online for the clients? So I'm assuming for the Pro event.
Yeah, so for all the Film Dev and Pro event, that's really up to you. We've actually worked on custom retention times. So when you create the Pro events, you'll be able to choose how long you want those to stay. By default, I would offer 30 days. That's plenty of time to go retrieve your files. But you can up that to 90, half a year. That's really up to you. Very important to consider, though, that the Pro event does have storage limitations, after which overages are charged. So I would definitely entice customers to get their files as fast as possible. And actually, they should be pretty excited to get their files and download them. And being in the Pro event, not only can they retrieve their files, but they can place orders for prints and additional products at the same time.
Yeah, just imagine this also for like a wedding planner, right? A wedding photographer who's developed all these pictures through film or whatever like that. And then they upload it to the Pro event. So yes, you can download the images, and then you can start creating the photo books, and you can start creating the calendars and start ordering your prints. Like there's the customer lifecycle, product lifecycle there available just through the Pro event. Okay, another quick question, a good one here. When we send files, do we need to send them as a zip, or do we just drop the actual JPEG files inside?
You drop the actual JPEG. So let me show you again. This is one of mine. It opens up that Pro event. You drop the files here, you wait till they're uploaded, and you hit send. And really what this is, where we are here, is a bit of a shortcut, because the Pro events have been moved to our new
interface.
Interface, correct? That's the word I was looking for. So we have the different categories here. You'll notice there's a category specifically for workflows. And then the events are created here automatically. You don't really need to come manage them here individually, because you do have access to them. If I keep going back, where am I? Because you do have access to upload the photos here. But essentially, we're tying in our different modules together to work together in collaboration. We've always had all the pieces to do this. We just never brought them together before, really.
Okay. For the time being, I don't have any more questions. So let's just keep on going. But everyone, don't be shy to ask. Okay, we'll get to it.
Okay, so workflows and work jobs, how do we get access? Well, the good news is if you have pretty much any Dakis product, you have access to that immediately. You can log into your mydakis.com and everything that I've shown you about setting up workflows, setting up work jobs, linking them to products, that's all there right now. That being said, if you want to have the true value of what this brings, you're going to want to consider the unified commerce point of sale so that you have everything in one package, in one software package, instead of having having your own POS and then entering the work jobs here and then doing that double entry. And obviously, if you want to be able to send files back to the customers, then you'll be looking at the Pro Event module, because we do need that infrastructure to be able to handle the files. And actually, you'll be doing yourself a favor, because it'll open up that possibility of offering the Pro Event to your photographers, or if you're doing bunny photos or Santa shots, or if you do any type of photography as well in your business. So it's actually a product that'll be useful in two different ways for you. So short answer, you already have it. Longer, more nuanced answer, if you want to take full advantage of it, consider the point of sale and consider adding the Pro Event so that you can do the film from end to end. Okay, before we get to the Q&A, there's a few other items that I just want to go for. We've been better integrating payment methods into the MyDakis over the last year and a half. That being said, we can't offer all of the advanced features with every single payment gateway that we support. It's just too much work, too much maintenance, too much support, too much back and forth with third parties. So we've been rolling out what we call Dakis Pay. To be completely transparent, Dakis Pay is provided by Global Payments Integrated. So we're not cobbling this together on our own. We are partnering with a rather massive payment processor here who has the infrastructure and the rails to support this. Key benefits, if you weren't aware, instead of having bundled pricing like Stripe or PayPal or some of these other gateways that we've historically offered, it's IC plus pricing. So that typically comes out to less than those bundled rates. You're able to fully manage your orders in the MyDakis, so you can separate authorization from capture. You can refund directly in the MyDakis. You can capture directly in the MyDakis, and you have access to all of your payment information directly in the MyDakis for your reconciliation. Again, if you're looking at the Unified Commerce POS, that'll simplify your life. Same system for the POS, for the web store, for the online photo solutions, for the workflows, for the work jobs, for the Pro Event, for everything else. For those of you that offer high value items, ClearSale is fully integrated. ClearSale is fraud insurance protection for all of the cameras, lenses, and all of those high value items that you sell. It supports partial approvals. So if people are using prepaid cards, those Visa prepaid cards that have, $50, $100 limits, or might have $14.93, left on them. So you can run as many of those as you want on a sale. And obviously in store, you can dictate how much you want on multiple payment methods at a time. It supports Apple Pay in store. It's direct support through us, and then we can accompany you if there is required support from the processor. And it's omni-channel. It's a true omni-channel because we treat it as one channel, right? A few things that are coming soon: Apple Pay Online, BNPL, which is buy now, pay later, fully integrated into Dakis Pay via Delay Pay to a Pay. Those are two names for the same thing because they just rebranded what it's called. And we're also going to be adding card tokenization. Card tokenization, for those of you that aren't familiar, is the same thing you have when you go to Amazon or any of the big commerce sites, where you can save your credit card for future use. What's interesting here is if you do have B2B customers, you can save the credit cards in their customer accounts, and you'll be able to charge them when the job is done. So that actually ties in nicely to the workflows You can make yourself a remember to charge the customer status and just charge them when you're done the job. So we're going to go quickly over these slides. If you've been to any trade show recently where we've been, or if you've been to any of our webinars, what are we trying to do with the unified commerce? What are we trying to do with a feature like Workjobs? Is we're trying to simplify your life. Retailers usually have, we put 3 systems, 3 logins, 3 headaches, but for some of you photo labs, it can be 4, 5, 6, 7 sometimes. And we're trying to bring that number down. So here we have our sad little merchant who is just so confused by all the systems he uses. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring most of your crucial, software needs into one package, from fraud protection to kiosk to the shopping cart, payments, online photo solution, full web store that you can sell cameras, but you can also sell different services or frames, and all of that stuff that you're accustomed to from Dakis. And why with us? Well, we've been in this vertical for nearly 20 years now. It's one support team for all the parts, so we know how the things talk together. So it's not talking to an integrator who's talking to a third party, who's talking to your other software company and having that infernal merry-go-round of support tickets. Like I said, we're in it for the long haul, 20 years of history, and we're now backed by Axel Harris. If you aren't aware who they are, Dakis was in fact acquired by a division of Constellation Software called Harris Computers, not last June, but a year and a half ago now. So that gives us the wherewithal to pretty much survive any turbulence in the marketplace. And that is actually a graphic of my first day in the office when I started as a wee young man. All right. So I promised a quick view of what's been released recently, and as I was making this slide, it's obviously just bullet points. We don't have time to demo everything here. I realized that since our last webinar, my development team has been hard at work, and they have released quite a few things. So obviously at the top of the list is workflows and Workjobs. That's what we've been looking at today. If you haven't noticed, we've added the QR code for both Photo Factory products and print products, so that customers can take photos from any device and just throw them at the session. You'll also notice that we've been removing some of the social media plugins. They've been lagging behind, and actually their use showed us that they weren't required anymore. For those of you, yep.
But by use, what you mean is that basically not many customers are using it.
Correct. The amount of files coming from social media going through our platform was below 0.01%, and that's the truth. It's been like that for years.
So it sounds like a nice thing, but when it gets down to it, it's the good old-fashioned submit straight from your phone or submit straight from files on your computer.
Yeah, and we've seen better engagement on all sorts of products, mostly books and calendars, those products that need images from multiple sources. We've seen a higher completion rate, and we've seen more of them in the fourth quarter of 2025. So that's excellent news. For those of you that are looking at the Unified Commerce point of sale, we do have the MVP of vendor management. So you can create your vendors, you can create their contacts, you can create their addresses. That ties in very closely to something in the product roadmap we're going to see on the next slide. There is now a payments page in the My Dakis, which allows you to download a detail of every single payment that was made in your portal. You can filter by payment type, you can filter by status, if it's a refund, if it was refused, and all that good stuff. That's obviously very, very important if you're using the Unified Commerce in store, because it allows you to do your reconciliation with your bank accounts, with your payment gateways, and just really know where your cash flow is. This next one is a little more subtle, and we didn't actually announce it, but you have the ability to skip the creation engine in Photo Factory to sell pre-made templates. We actually leverage that to do workflows and Workjobs. But we also have We also have stores that have sold historically things like a mug with their school logo on it.
Yeah, this is excellent for the people who are selling goods to universities, to colleges in your area.
Yeah, or we've had stores that wanted to sell pre-made artwork, but on different sizes and different substrates. So this ability to skip the creation engine, although it sounds useless, because why would we want to skip the creation engine? It actually allows you to do some of the things that I mentioned before, like selling school gear, selling artwork without necessarily having to create a product for each of them. It does allow you to store the artwork so that when you get an order in your job downloader, that artwork will follow the order and you can just print it from your job downloader. You won't have to go hunt and peck for those files in your archives. So that might actually be an interesting thing to cover in a future webinar that we do for tips and tricks. Keep that in mind, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we have added, and we just released it this week, so we're going to be announcing it soon, is we added 2FA for your mydakis.com users. That doesn't sound very exciting, but it sure is exciting to your insurance company. So if you have a need for a 2FA, you can turn that on for your mydakis login now. It has all the bells and whistles of a modern 2FA. It has that trust your device so that you don't have to do it every single time you log in, but it's worth setting up. If that's a requirement for either PCI compliance or your insurance company or anybody's asking you to set up 2FA on all of your accounts. Other quick improvements we've done. We've changed the add to cart when you're creating an order in the mydakis, when you're creating an order in Unified Commerce. Some of you may have seen it if you do quotes in the mydakis, some of you might have not. But it's much more convenient if you're adding many products. It's much more convenient if you need to change the quantity as you add things. It's going to be very, very useful for these workflows and service orders in store. You might not have noticed, but you can actually create print orders from the mydakis now in the same way that you create quotes for cameras or frames or whatever else. So this can be very, very useful if you have someone at the counter and you're asking and they're working with you on what they want. You can actually prepare their cart, send it to them, and then when they get home, they can add the photos and save it and then finish the cart on their own. So that's an extension of what we've been doing for Unified Commerce for years. The tags feature, for those of you considering Unified Commerce, is really cool. We've had tags for a long time in the website to create landing pages and things like that, but you're able to tag favorites so that when you do have customers in store creating an order, you can quickly find those common products that you sell often, be it film developing for print shops, be it scanning services. So you can create kind of submenus a little bit like you're used to in a point of sale. So that's a really cool feature.
Yeah, nice and customizable too. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Oh, and for those of you that have been struggling with recycling fees in California, I don't know if any of you are here today, but we have made improvements to how we use recycling fees. You can now do it on every item instead of on every category. So if you need to go down to that granular level, you can. It also works with Avalara as well if you have bigger needs. So those are a lot of the items that we've released. And you know what we're going to do, Ryan? We're going to put on our schedule to send out an e-blast that details some of these releases, because just going through them as a point form here is not.
It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff to digest on a sheet. So
correct.
We'll go through
but one of those line items might have gone ding for you and given you ideas on something to do with your store. So I'll leave that there. You can come back to that. The interesting stuff, the stuff you're always asking us about, what are you working on in early 2026? So obviously we were working on workflows and workjobs. We're going to keep fine-tuning and listening to your feedback on that. Don't worry there. But some of these are items that are on the docket for 2026. For all those of you that are looking at the POS and our camera store, we are hitting serialized inventory and purchase orders now. So purchase orders will allow you to track your COGS on absolutely everything. And serialized inventory, you'll be able to enter serial numbers at checkout, but also enter serial numbers when you receive your purchase orders and receive shipments. All that good stuff. Perpetual improvements to reports, to the exports, to the CSV files. as we get more and more feedback on what you need to operate your business, what you need for accountants, where we're making those changes. This was brought up before when we were talking about Dakis Pay, but card tokenization for repeat customers in the service business, that might be important so that you can bill your customers when you're done. You know, we've heard a lot of people say, you know, when we take in a scanning job, we're never really sure how much time it takes. So maybe we take a deposit and we finish the job and charge them at the end for the total amount. So that's something that's going to empower you to do that much more simply. We're looking at integrating a shipping module directly into the MyDakis. We were integrated to ShipStation and have been for years and still are, but they made some changes to their pricing and their API that made a lot of you unhappy with them and with us by the, you know, by association. So we're going to be looking at integrating a shipping module directly into the MyDakis, so you can print your way ticket, not your way tickets, but your shipping labels straight into the MyDakis. We will have a webinar about that when we are ready to go on the integration on our end, so that we can identify all of your needs and make sure that we meet them. There are some integrations to Google Shop Local. So our SCM department has done a very good job with both hard good orders and with print product orders as far as integrating to Google Shopping and doing various local ads. So this is to keep that engine going. And then the last ones, price books and unified commerce, so you can have different price levels for wholesale customers and retail customers. And then these are big ones, and we will be doing some Q&As with you on that. The print ordering and the creation engine refreshes are something that might be on the table for this year, depending on what kind of feedback we get. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. As always, Ryan is here, so I want to remember that we have an Up Your Game campaign with our product success manager, which is Ryan's title. Up Your Game can be anything from helping you set up product. Well, you talk about it, Ryan.
Sure, setting up your products. Thanks, Pat. Getting familiar with the new interface, okay, because I find that the new interface is moving in the right direction for adding products and whatnot. I know change is hard, but I do appreciate some of the search features inside of there and the easiest way to add products. Quickly, we have new templates coming through inside of the Photo Factory. We released some for Valentine's Day. We have some grad ones set up. And that being said, get some marketing campaigns out for your marketing campaigns for your grad services and for your grad templates, and just get that print revenue in. We showed you store services, so maybe start thinking about how you can integrate that into your online photo solution, so things like film dev can easily be integrated. And most importantly, I took a look at the sales for 2025. Notice that you can make a lot of money with wall art, right? You can make a lot of money with canvas wraps. You can make a lot of money with acrylic prints, whatnot. And I'm sure that's not a surprise to many of you. But if I'm looking at dollar values, it's very similar to how much we'd be making for, like, say, greeting cards, except with like maybe 10% of the orders. So if you guys increase sales for wall art, you're going to be making a lot more revenue. That's how I see it. And if you're missing the capabilities to be able to print the stuff on your own, consider third-party providers or connecting with the lab in your area to help you out. Okay, all that stuff is completely possible in our system. It's very easy to also connect to a lab that is your neighbor and keep that money local. All right. There's a bunch of other stuff too, and we'll talk about that some other time.
And one of the key things is you have not had a conversation with Anthony about any of the Google Shopping, any of the Google optimization, or any of the services that he offers. I would highly recommend it.
Yep. So we had a retailer tell us that once they started taking Anthony's services specifically for the Google ad campaigns, the revenue increased substantially, say like 60% month over month. And then during its most important quarter, being fourth quarter, there was about 115% increase. It was over 100%. increase in sales for that period. So that's really something to consider. And by the way, I'm going to be at Lincolnshire. So is Anthony. PC is going to be there as well. So for those who are going to be fortunate enough to come to the Pro Show and who are able to talk to us, by all means, come see us. Give us a call. Schedule some time. We'll spend some time with you for sure. All right.
Wonderful. So with that being said, thank you for sitting through our presentation. And at this point, I guess we can go through the rest of the questions, Ryan?
Yeah, exactly. So I only have one more, unless, I mean, feel free to ask more questions, but I have one more. It says, is there a way to create hot folders on our system that upload images automatically to each client without having to go through my Dakis, to go through manually and upload it through the Pro event?
So the answer there is not at this time. But that is definitely something we can consider on how to do that. Yeah. It's something we can look at how to do that with hot folders.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've considered that in the past as well.
Mm-hmm.
That pretty much covers all the questions. So, I mean, if you have something else to ask, now is the time to get typing so we can get to it. All right.
So in that case, since no questions are coming, feel free to reach out to sales@dakis.com if you want a personalized demo of workflows and workshops. If you have an interest for the unified commerce, now is the time. And as well, if you need the Pro event to do that complete film module, now is the time as well.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Okay.
Are we able to offer two different prices, one for in-store at the kiosk and one for online?
So you can offer a different pricing online and through the different applications, including the kiosk, and a different pricing at the counter. But at this time, the kiosk still uses the same inventory as online.
Sounds like you need a parallel mass pricing table or something like that to get that to work.
We're not.
Well, just spitballing here. All right. Any more questions? All right. Well, listen, if they come through and we miss them, we'll make sure to get in touch with you individually and answer those questions. All right?
Correct.
Comfortable with that, Pat?
100%.
Nice. All right. So
with that concludes our webinar. Thank you for being with us on this ice stormy day here in Quebec.
This is why we're not together at the office, basically. There's a huge ice storm in Quebec going on right now. Our power could go off any second. Well, there you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks again, everybody.
See those who come to Chicago in Chicago. Take care.